it's double doors. I never get to hang out with
Yeah,
you.
that's
This is
too
great.
bad. Now he stays home as much as possible. Yeah, we have coffee right behind there. Coffee's over here. Oh.
Oh, you're so loved, aren't you? You are.
How are you?
Present and accounted for.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm good. It's all good.
When's the baby due again?
June 4th. I
Figured.
went to the ultrasound yesterday, so they had a they do an anatomy scan, you know, at 20 weeks, and because we don't know what we're having, so the
Do
ultrasound.
they want to know?
No. Oh, the ultrasound tech was really good about it yesterday. Every time she mentioned something, they're turning around a lot better than they were before.
Yeah.
Apparently, last time all they saw was spine. The baby would not turn. They had her
Okay.
get up and walk around and jumping jacks, everything. Spine, so they couldn't get any face pictures or anything, and they didn't get to measure the heart properly. So now she's 24 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which doesn't
yeah.
taste like it.
Survivable. I mean, I wouldn't want it.
No, it's pretty early.
It's really early, but
But it makes you feel a little better.
it's like, okay, we made it through that hump.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really have any doubts. We didn't have any problems in our family, but you never know.
Yeah.
You know, one of my really good friends in ICU, his wife almost died from an amniotic, fluid. I mean, meconium, amniotic, but like a, oh my God.
Embolism?
Yes,
Ah,
I can't think of the word.
yeah, yeah. Heard of that, but I don't think
It's rare,
Yeah.
but you know, she almost died. And Dr. Eileen, Dr. Dickwad,
What does that actually do? It just cuts off the flow. Right?
Everything.
For the baby.
the baby and the mom, and the chance of both of them surviving is really small.
But they did.
They both did.
Oh, they both did.
Both mom and the boy.
The boy.
Van is.
Boy. Wow, you like no bark. That
He
was
just
a
got
no
he
bark.
just got medicated.
I think he likes his little sweater.
He does like this. Oh, he loves his little sweaters. He has many. He loves them all.
Yeah, she's quite the fashionista.
Well, what kind of dogs with less hair?
He doesn't have enough hair.
Yeah, they kind of need it.
So this is going to be a little messy. I really don't do my shells. Only because you have to come through this thing. I'm going to move this
Maybe move it over a little bit.
over here.
Yep.
It feels, this is feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would keep that
Don't
close.
flap that
Yeah,
around.
don't slap it into the fire.
Might be
Good,
good.
generally, I would say. We have tea or coffee and you look like you're set up.
Oh, you sold it?
Just follow with the dog bag.
We're gonna really work on
Hi.
staying
Hi.
where you belong.
One up here?
today. That will be a different practice. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's work on staying where we belong.
Anyways, long story short about that
Yeah.
whole situation is that, you know, I always say, you know, women have had babies for years and
I
eons
know.
and
How
blah,
about
blah,
you?
blah. And then Bryce pops in. Yeah, well, you know, my wife thought she was going to just have a normal
Good to
baby
see
too.
you.
She
That
ended up
means
staying in the
keto
ICU
is
for, you know, 3 weeks.
Well, centuries ago, they would have known why. It would have been, but you know that along with that saying, which I've also used too, and doing this, there also was high rates of maternal childbirth, you know, mortality too. So.
Well, good that
My,
you're here supporting
I don't know
us
if you,
as well.
I've probably told this story a few times, but
We're
so
gonna
she's
have
due
a
on
fun
June
discussion about
5th,
the
and my
unconditional.
other daughter
Yeah.
promoted.
Yeah.
So I told her, I said,
Connie, right?
Connie,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I told Michelle and Brian a month ago, I said, I'm going to Connie's, because that's my job as a mom, and you know, blah, blah, blah. And so whether this baby is born while I'm gone or not is,
You can hop on a plane.
I can still hop on a plane. You know,
You're not going to be at the childbirth anyways. So.
I'm not going to be in
You're
the
not the main
birthing room.
event.
No.
No, it was the second
Oh,
child.
yes.
Mom
Oh,
there
yes,
was the first
lovely.
one taken care of.
Correct.
You know.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. I've
There's
already-
a yummy
Yes,
new wine at
yes.
Ruth that I like. It may not be.
I
new.
like
Hi,
it
how
a
are you?
lot.
I look at Carrie and I just have wine. on my
Caroon,
side.
Caruth Winery.
I like wine.
It's a
Caruth.
Sangiovese. I think. I've never tried that
Oh.
one.
Is that up in
Which
Temecula?
I
No,
hate.
there's, no,
It's called
Caruth is here. It's on the beach. There's
So
a tasting room.
even though I think writing the cards is a little nutty.
It's already
Well,
done.
it's called Unconditioned.
Well, then we'll just have to meet for a glass of wine.
Yes, related to John. Yes,
I'll
right.
come.
Maybe, yeah, maybe you're around next week.
My
I'll try
husband's
to-
gone for 3 days next week.
There you go.
They found each
Yeah,
other.
and I like
Hey,
wine.
Larry.
And you're.
Good
And
morning.
Renee, okay, well,
Um,
I'll remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the fire
so
going.
much.
It's
Yeah,
working.
even if it's-
Where is,
Like
Man,
Gwen?
I am
Has
really
he
bad
been-
with names.
I see
so
him
I mean,
around.
I'm
He
gonna
Okay.
just
see a few
hasn't been
times.
making it.
Because I have his I still have a t-shirt. He bought a t-shirt, so.
Oh, I can give it to
Oh,
him.
yay.
Okay.
Yeah, I see him all the time.
One
Okay.
more down. One
We'll
more
try
down.
down.
Oh, that's fabulous.
You're not getting one. You're on the board.
Yeah, that's very true.
They're,
I don't think
Martin.
That's actually what I would work to make this
It's
happen.
all
like
fixed
this.
now.
There
I
had
can
to be-
transfer it.
It's unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull the queen on the
Want a
throne
blanket?
thing.
There's
So-
there's one right behind you.
No, if I need it, I will
Right there.
ask for reinforcements.
Okay.
I got the fire. It's on. Just looking at it warms me.
We have hot water and,
Hello.
coffee tonight. Freezing.
They look like twins.
They
almost.
Ladies, I think blanket, you need your, here's this blanket.
I like
that two people are always cold.
Well, you're farthest away from the fire. too.
I got the perfect blanket, so. Yeah.
I should.
Here's the other one right there.
Where in
I
Solana
think
Beach?
So,
I
um,
think double
That
wrap
101?
it.
it's on Cedros. And,
Oh.
you know where,
Warm up
the
though.
brewery is right across the street. There's,
Down to Cedars
there-
Beach.
oh, yeah, it's,
Okay. Halfway down?
no,
or
no,
right
right
at the
at the,
first?
right at
Oh,
the first. So when you turn, it's like in a little driveway. There's a kitchen supply store right, in front of them. So you can't really see it. It's like a flag.
And I'm down. I'm down with all that.
I didn't have decent
It's
wine.
true. It's a new day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got
What's
good
true is
wines.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm open.
Okay, yeah, let me see what a nice week is shaking out.
There's only one thing I have to figure out. and I'm gonna
You
make
guys
happen,
call it.
Because it was super tasty yesterday. And it's such a fun little spot.
Why is it fun?
And there's always people there, and the people watching
Sit
good.
outside.
Good morning.
Yeah, I usually
There's a
have my
chair right
daughter.
there.
I need an extra
Yeah,
chair.
we have one more.
Hi.
No, we have one more.
Here, why don't you
It's
take
squishy.
this one? I'm absolutely sure. Yeah, I know,
You know how to handle
I
it.
know those. I can hang the back.
You know it's back row like.
Yeah, I'm more.
Oh, now the back row.
Well, what's your name? Jamie, good to meet you. I'm Diana. Well, we try to make it work.
It's really new to the area?
Early in the morning.
Oh, okay. Where are you at?
I'm in Singer.
Oh.
Anthony, will you and me and pull the love seat up? You guys are too far back.
Are you house eight or
No, but
Yeah.
I work at a.
Leanne, will you
High school.
help Anthony with that?
which house?
Pacific Ridge School.
Oh, the bougie school.
You might need us support.
Liza,
Cressy Ranch
Liza,
is bougie.
yeah, that's her last name. She's the athletic director. She used to be the athletic director.
You guys got it?
Not anymore.
No?
What do you do there?
I teach art and design.
I'm gonna say we're gonna put all.
We have an artist over here. An artist.
Leanne, here, you guys, there's also towel to dry. Here, towel to dry.
Oh,
Or there's more blankets in the bucket.
Junior high and high school.
Especially when they're
I know.
so connected.
That's right.
Right?
excuse me.
What?
Why?
Why?
I can tell you a funny
Go
story
up
about
and
that.
get my iPhone.
Doesn't sound like it's gonna be
stand.
very funny.
Well,
No.
I was
Poor whole little
19
man.
years old. I was at the
I
mountains
think
with
it's
some
up on the
friends.
peninsula,
And my hair at the time was pretty
or
long.
maybe it's on my
And
dresser.
I was lighting a hash pipe and my hair caught on fire. And my friends are sitting around the circle and they were
Was
just
this last week?
laughing. Yeah, I don't have enough hair now. But they're laughing and I'm going like that. It just singed my hair a little bit. But they
Just a little.
couldn't
It
stop
really
laughing.
was last week.
About what, 50 years ago? More than
Okay.
about 50 years ago. So that's my fire.
Oh.
I don't want to repeat it.
Other than the time my Volkswagen caught on fire.
I don't think I can match
No,
that.
No, I
That's a
just
good one.
went in. That's different. That's different. I got little man here and he's really being amazing. So I'm devoting myself to
all
that.
snuggled
Yeah,
in.
that he's, a lot of people here, look at how he's not barking. It's incredible. He
Little man.
tends to get a little so overexcited, so he barks. And this is the best not barking we've ever.
It's early yet.
This training is working. I know, I was gonna say something, I thought, why shake her up before she comes into him?
I knocked first.
Oopsie.
Oh, no, no,
I didn't see you.
he doesn't care.
Hey guys, check out my weather.
Through that door and immediately to the right.
Oh.
Who's Snow?
That's
Oh,
me,
what she
Robin.
says. She knows.
I'm in Colorado. I'm in Colorado. Hello. Oh, I can't get it to turn back. It doesn't let me. Oh, there we go. That's my weather. So I'm indoors.
Robin is in Colorado in some snow.
What city?
What city in Colorado?
Denver.
Denver,
Yeah.
where
With my
Lisa's daughter
My
is.
good friend.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you
So
for being there.
He's doing good.
Wonderful. So I'm gonna see if how to, you have to work on this a little bit. Let's see if we can pull this up. So the Wi-Fi is just, doing what it does. I'm just checking first to see if everyone can hear me. Okay, that's a good start. That's a good start. Then I've been asked by the YouTubers, I didn't know anybody was watching this on YouTube. Who knew? To say who we were. So yeah. I'm Diana Shimkus, and this is the Encinitas Mindfulness Community. We have been together since sometime around 2008, got formally incorporated, I think around 2009 or so. And so we are a true community. We are a true community. The people on the board of this community have been around and or on the board, most of them for many, many years. Very committed, dedicated group. That doesn't mean that we're perfect practitioners, or it does mean we're perfect practitioners. And I like the truth of both. We stay together to support each other in these practices because they're not easy, right? They're not easy to do. They're not easy to do every day. They're not easy to do oneself. And in fact, I practiced primarily alone for over 9 years and recognized somewhere in that period, like the Buddha himself, that without community, there was no way to take those beautiful insights, that open heart anywhere but the cushion. And it was not sufficient. It just wasn't sufficient. So we talk about this at a couple levels, don't we? We talk about what's happening in the formal practice, but really all the more, for me particularly, I care about then how does that impact you, your life, and your relationships? Because if your practice does not translate, as my teacher, Joko Beck, said, go play tennis. Go play tennis. It might be more effective. If it's just about concentration, if it's just about bliss states, if it's just about escaping the challenges, the difficulties of this human life, then it is not practice, we'll say. It's just not practice. It's something else. Everybody's heard this from me before, right? I can't say it enough because we often get caught. One of the biggest habits I notice of practitioners, particularly then those people who've been practicing now 15, 18 years, which is some of the people in our group, like, oh my God, I never imagined that day, honestly, is that we can cultivate a certain kind of spiritual arrogance. And we have to be careful about that as well. From believing that we're just not worthy, not capable, we rest in the trance of insufficiency and unworthiness, just thinking, I'm never going to get this right, and I'm never going to be good enough, and I'm not right. We can fall to the other side as well, which is, I'm kind of special. I've kind of got it going on. I think I should tell others what they should be doing and how they should be doing it because I'm so clear myself. And we like to begin with people like partners. There's some of our favorite, or children, another big favorite, and then people like neighbors and colleagues, and really our best skill, as is written in every spiritual text I've ever read, which is be that, and then let it be sufficient. Be that kindness, that goodwill, that care, that compassion, that equanimity, that wisdom. Be that. And in so doing, you will what? Change the world. Change the world. Not possible to do otherwise. And everyone then you meet. And so, just so we know who we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it. And then I wrote a little thing saying, I don't know if I can get to it because I just have a little spinning rainbow here in front of me, which might prevent me from getting to it, but let's see. We were going to talk today then. I'm going to turn on, Carrie, can you do it? I can't find it, the recording.
It's on me.
Okay, thank you.
Turn it off, actually.
Okay. We're going to talk about the unconditioned self. And the unconditioned self, I wouldn't use the word maybe myself, unconditioned, because that has a tendency to imply nothing, right? Like no thing, not true. So we want to get rid of those ideas. There is a strong concept in the Buddhist tradition called anatta, which is non-self, not no self. And we get a little mixed up there, right? Like, and then we can get into things like a sort of nihilistic points of view. I have to give everything away. I've got to not care for self, right? We can get mistaken about these things. Just as I said, we can fall to that side. And unconditioned does not mean no. There's no self. It's not what it means. What it actually means is that you are larger in view, bigger. That your viewpoint includes not only you and wisely includes you, but also includes that which is more, bigger around you. We like to call those people others, right? And so not no self, but self and other. there was a concept, was it maybe Martin Buber or somebody like that? I know Anthony might know. I thou, right? This idea that either side would ultimately be deficient. You get this idea? Either side, the I or the thou alone, without the I thou, would in some way be deficient. You get this idea? Why do you think? Why do you think Buber, who I think maybe was some Lutheran, or I can't remember exactly what his tradition.
He's
But with
Jewish. He was religious Jewish.
Buber, he what? And then he started an entire Christian.
No. Martin Luther and Martin Buber are two different people.
Was it Buber who said I thou?
I thou is Buber.
Thank you, Leslie. I really appreciate that. I love that also. So why did it begin? It began even before then with the Buddha himself, and even before that with the Jains and others. But what's your understanding of I thou? Because the unconditioned rests there.
You can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
There, well, I am an I because you are thou or the other, you know.
Yes. Yes. In fact, there is a phrase, I am because thou art. Right? You've heard it. I am because thou art. Now, in certain traditions, they have made that thou the divine. Let's say it isn't. Let's say it's just thou. I am because thou art. True?
Yes.
Where'd you come from? A couple of thous. Where did they come from? A couple more. And where did they, right? So we have that. We call that tradition or lineage, right? So we know that. That's one of the ways that thou. Could you get here today without the thousands, the infinite numbers of thous? You could not. Could you be warm enough? You could not. Could you be fed enough? You could not. Right? Don't we know this? This is then what the reality of interconnectedness and interbeing, the infinite thous that are contributing, like right now, not just at the time of birth or to your being. Does everybody get this on Zoom? And so the unconditioned, we could say, is one who knows, we'll talk about what that means in a second, the truth of this. Knows. And so what do I mean by knows?
Embodies.
Yes. Not just knowing, cognizing, easy to say.
Hey.
Yeah.
Deep down.
Deep down. Oh, I love that.
Deep down. Oh, I love
it. Deep down. What else? Knows.
Well, to me, it speaks of like a deep reverence, like a gratitude in like the true sense of the word. Like none of this could exist without all else.
All else. Nothing could exist without all else. And a deep knowing that then invokes, we could say, or invites or allows a sort of reverence. Anthony said, a gratitude, I guess you could go all the way to care. You might even say some kind of care, right? Attention, you would definitely say, wouldn't you? There'd be attention to the reality of that, and then an attending to that. How do I then care, right? Live, holding, knowing, not just from there. That looks like at Encinitas Mindfulness Community, things like our service projects, our care for each other by showing up on a cold morning. Like just that, look at this. right? What else? Are offering blessings, are offering wisdom, are offering, right? The things we do even when we're not in the group to care for the group, right? This is the I thou. So then what about the unconditioned self then? So since we've gotten rid of the nihilistic version, the no self version of it, the I am, a little arrogance can come into that. We have to be careful about the I aming, because we can over invest and become arrogant in it. And so then what other words would you use for the unconditioned? What words have you heard here? What words have come up for you that invite that, Kelly said, embodiment, knowingness, deep down? Someone said, what other words would you use?
Boundless.
Boundless. Without limit, without border, without, yeah, somebody else?
I get the word giving comes to mind, but it has to be a different, like a little bit different way, because giving can also be very selfish. So open giving, loving giving.
Yes, I know what you're saying, Robin. It's that kind of the Zen tradition says, give like a white crane in snow. Since you're resting in it today in Colorado.
Yep.
You get this sense like a white crane in snow.
I'm fond of Thich Nhat Hanh's interbeing.
Interbeing. Right? The clarity of that. Other words.
Seamless.
Seamless.
Consciousness.
Consciousness. Wakefulness. In the tradition that we're currently studying, the Tibetan tradition from the Mahayana school, and then to some extent another school, the Diamond Vehicle School, they say luminous. Luminous. Can you see why luminous could fit? Like light, radiant in all directions, right? Not just in and of itself, right? Luminous. We're going to rest in that
picture to the white crane.
Yes, right, isn't it? Other words, what's your understanding? Anybody write any in chat? Can't read it. You can't read it either. Anybody who can read chat, could you read those for us? Completely open, says Dennis. Thank you. Any others?
One.
Joseph Goldstein says 0. And then he says, it is not the 0 itself. It is the window that you look through. It is not the 0 meaning no thing itself. It is the 0 that you're looking through. That's an interesting idea, isn't it? It means without holding, just self. Yeah, right. We've got this idea. Yes.
Oh, just yesterday, there was a funny quote after my TM meditation that said something along the lines, if you can hold with no prejudice, if you can see through no prejudice, you know, and it kind of went on and then it said, you'd be the family dog.
You'd be the fan. Yes, it did. I know that. It's so lovely. Completely giving, loving, right? Happy to see you.
Yeah.
Unconditionally loving. You're probably the family dog. Yes, exactly right. Okay, so we're getting the idea. So we're going to practice with that. I like that reminder, Robin, because we're actually going to be practicing letting go of ideas about the unconditioned. We have to. There is no thinking. There is no thinking. You will not find it that will support you resting in the unconditioned. In fact, we find mostly that thoughts complicate, get in the way, we get a little attached to them, we form beliefs about them, and now we're everything but we're Republicans. No, I'm making, that's a joke. It's a joke. Truly, it's a joke. But you get what I'm saying. We're an ism. And you have heard me say, I don't think that Buddhism is any improvement. I do not think so. No improvement. Be careful. Be careful. Right? That and ism. Be careful. Feminism. Be careful. Because what? It separates. We're no longer seamless. What did we just do? Me in my group, right? Whatever that is. By the way, it doesn't mean either, and we talk about this a lot, that we have to disavow a certain aspect of self. This is no improvement, is it? So then we don't go, no, we're struggling a little bit with this around gender, right? We're having a little battle because, well, then I can't be a gender. I got to, right? Otherwise I've taken a position and then right, everybody has to be that. And by the way, neither will be most unconditioned, will it? Because each has, this is why in the teachings it says every view is limited. Every view, every viewpoint, every ism has its limitation, as well as pointing to, right, a certain aspect of truth. Can we hold both? That would be unconditioned, wouldn't it then? Can we hold both? The value of it, the benefit of it, the goodness of it, the importance of not being stuck in a binary world. This is important. And how not to demand, right? Because now either way, we're limited either way.
It's two like sides of the coin.
That's right.
We were one way for a long time, which was not good. And then we swung to the opposite direction, which is just as problematic in itself.
Yeah, it does. It has its problem. I was just on a Zoom call and someone said, put up your pronouns. And I said, no. It did not go well. It did not go well. No. I'm not going to pick one. Now what? Now you have to form a relationship to this without the prescribed version. No. Nobody knew what to do with it exactly. So there was just a, and then I think they went to, well, let's give her a break. She's old. Yeah, it was perfect. Oh no, she's.
They said
No.
Oh,
No, nobody's that dumb. You don't have to talk to me for 6 seconds to go, nah. No, I don't think so. I'll fake it, but I'm not gonna. But really, by the way, there it is, isn't it? Look at it. It's happening every second, every minute, all day. Now, by the way, we're not going to get rid of all of that. That's not my goal. That's not my goal. My goal is to just try to recognize where I am and where I'm leaning, where I'm creating separation, where I'm creating disconnect, where I'm creating borders, where I'm creating others in that sense. Right.
Seems like that's where we have to be careful of judgment.
Very. Don't we?
Because we can have our own belief,
Yes.
but try, to hold those without judging the other for theirs.
That's right. And we're not very good at it. Why? Because the minute you hold a belief, you have formed a certain border boundary. You have to recognize it. Yep, you have to recognize it. By the way, it doesn't mean you don't get to, it just means know you're doing it. That's all. Just recognize. And then also recognize what? There will be others who feel other to you now because you claimed the I, thee, he, she, they, them, or nothing. Right? Whichever, whatever you did, there will be some. Okay, we get this idea. Okay, so we're going to practice with this. The practice isn't a thinking practice. This is handy. We get to put all this down now and simply rest in the, well, the Tibetans say the luminous. But I'm going to take a minute just to get, allow us to dissolve some of the thingness we claim, right? We're going to take a minute just in the dissolving of that. And so getting our feet in contact with the earth in whatever way that feels supportive. And actually feeling the feet. And then feeling up from the feet into the body. And just noticing this body as it sits, rests in space. And we begin by making contact with the body. And so we're going to begin to focus on the breath, breathing the whole body. And rather than an idea about that or an image about that, see if you can't get a sense of that felt sense of aliveness, of connectedness. Maybe another word would be wholeness. The breath in the whole body. Enjoying the breath. And in this initial phase of our practice, we can actually make this breath a little longer. Just for a few breaths. Welcoming the felt sense of both the in-breath and the out-breath. And then seeing if you can't feel into that gentle sway of the body with that in and out breath. Something maybe we could call micro movements. Enjoy that felt sense of aliveness and presence. This stabilizing of the mind. As we simply rest in the breath. And in this practice, there is nothing to push away, nothing to resist. There is no struggle. We do not reject other objects such as bird sounds, conversation sounds, dogs barking, me twitching, coolness or warmth. We simply place primary attention. There is a commitment here simply to this one breath. We are not making other right here in the practice. There's not breath and then not breath. We're not setting up the binary there. We're just simply resting in the breath, allowing all other phenomenon to come and go. And so even in the meditation object, there is a light touch in the object preference, very light touch. Primarily the breath, but with no rejection, no exclusion, no struggle with the other arising objects. This is unique in itself because often in certain schools of practice, there is a fairly tight hold on the breath. And this is the inclusive breath. And in fact, what we could do is then let go of the breath being held in the body, this idea of the body breath, to breathe into the larger container now called open space. We don't have to get rid of the body, once again, everything included. We're simply going to expand, make larger the experience of the breath beyond the body, breathing in and out of vast open space. Sky-like, limitless, seamless, boundless, groundless orientation. And the felt sense. The breath now beyond the body and beyond the mind. No border. And then we let every sound, every thought, and every sensation simply become a part of this present moment. In its arising and passing, in its complete continuous flow or change or transformation. Nothing solid, nothing fixed, not the view, not the viewer. There is no sound without the ear, without the ear consciousness, and that which knows. Everything a constellation. Rest in the flow. Mother luminosity holding all objects, identifying, reifying, rejecting none. There is no one body. There is no one view, no one being. Each moment unique, without bias, without prejudice, without conditioning, without wanting or not wanting at all. This is the truth of this wakeful awareness. Mother luminosity. that which knows thinking but is not lost in it. And in the suttas, the unconditioned is often described like this: no eyes, no ears, no nose, no mouth, no body, no one, complete. No hearing, no seeing, no tasting, no touching, no thinking, complete knowing. Not I, not me, not mine. All beings. Everything included, nothing rejected, but not mistaken as solid, permanent, fixed, or me. And then the line between I and thou dissolves. See if you can feel the softening, the warmth, the inclusiveness, the welcome embrace of that mother luminosity. All things, all beings, all thoughts, all sensations, no preference, wakeful abiding. Loving presence. Everything a part of, included, nothing separate. No past, no present, no future. Complete now. And see if you can't get the felt sense of the resonance in the body with this knowing. See how the whole mind, body, and heart are attuned, not separate. Open, spacious, radiant, infinite, and empty, empty of conditions. No one thing determining nothing fixed. Everything in connection. Tall or short, young or old, he or she or we or they. We can include it all. And in this radiant luminosity, we are a healing source for ourselves and the world. Feel its goodness. And remember who you are. And then remember who the other is as well. May we all be safe. May we all be well. May we all be free from suffering. And may this practice this very morning contribute. So be it. Little man knows when it's time. You notice he is our best meditator. So what else do you know? No thinking. So what does the body know?
Lots of sensations.
Lots of sensations. Noticing, breathing, sensing, breathing.
The calmness that we experience as a group, I feel goes out into the world. You know,
Yes.
we present ourselves differently after we've
Yeah.
aged.
Yep. Yep. Something that's larger than this mind, this body, and even then this collective mind, this collective body, and some felt sense about that. Sense of the radiance of that.
There are no problems, like, period.
Yeah.
Like there are no problems.
There are no
Yeah.
problems, no difficulties, nothing that is separate, nothing that is other. And interestingly, less opinion about them. Anybody notice that? Like you get a little freed up. There's a little, I certainly get a felt sense of liberation. It doesn't really, what's happening is happening then. You know, the tick is the tick and the sniffle's the sniffle and the, right, it's all there. And I am not caught, hooked, or rejecting it. And so it gets less objectified, less other, less thingness happens. Isn't it interesting? The barriers dissolves between that other thing and this sense of me, I'll say.
It's such a, I notice it's such a tension and tightness and so much work to feel all that in your body when there's a story attached to something, or feel you have to make sense of something or how we compare.
Figure it out,
Yeah.
get it right, or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
These ideas we have.
This past week, last week, my mother-in-law, who's been very, very sick most of her life, was in ICU this last week. And we thought there was pretty much no doubt she was going to die. Everyone was like, clear, this is what's happening. No. And we were all preparing for many days. And she rallied and almost like came back from the dead in some ways, and not in a good way. It is a very sad thing that she's still here. There's a lot of stories I created about that because of my own losses and my young husband dying off the ventilator, and but then this person who's in so much suffering and so should not have been here this long in this way. How is this person alive still? And the story and the anger and the pain that comes with, we got to make sense of this. This doesn't make sense. And it was such a horrible feeling. And it took several days to like really move past that. And then now it's come to this place of, okay, well, we're here now.
Yeah.
And what's this going to be?
Yeah. For now.
This now.
That's right.
Clearly, we have no control for anything. You know that, and you talk about that every day, but you're reminded.
Yes. Yes.
These things that happen that are just insane.
Yes. Yes. Isn't it? That's why Carrie said, don't know, because she works with that every day. And, we all have preferences, particularly around birthing and deathing, and then every moment in between. might say, and it's always, speed it up, come on, let's just die, or, hey, don't die, don't do that, and we're just all caught in the story of all of this. It's doing its self perfectly, and it doesn't mean we like it. It doesn't mean we understand it. It doesn't mean we agree with it. It doesn't mean that's going to be different. It does mean recognizing that that's happening is very useful, because then you can stop doing it to you, really. And then you can stop doing it to the other. Like, you gotta live, or couldn't you hurry up and die? Or, right. And this is us pushing the river that we all do continuously, right? With suffering is the point, isn't it, Lydia? With suffering, with obligation, with I've got to be, you've got to be. And remember what we know, you had to put some demand on you before you put some demand on the other. It'd be really nice to know what that is. Well, I can be compassionate as long as you're only here for 5 days. I could do that. Right? And we're bargainers. We don't even know we're doing it. We don't even know, right, that we're doing it. And can we recognize that as what? Just the fearing self, the separate self, wanting, needing some condition to be okay. Right? Something.
Certainty equals safety, right?
Certainty equals safety is the myth. Certainty is the safety. Because what are we certain of? We are all going to die. There's not that much safety in there. With that certainty equals safety. Not so much. Everything's changing every breath. Not that much security there. We don't particularly like this.
I think what I can tell, he's gonna take the train almost there.
And so then what? And how do we practice? So how can you imagine taking this formal practice into your everyday life? Because remember, that's our work. That's where the rubber meets the road, they say. How do we take it into our everyday? Well, I notice the othering as a beautiful beginning practice, just that I've constructed another. The you, the that, the them, the over there, the object, right? And I am not seeing in the moment the truth of the we-ness. Dan Siegel, who I love, says mui. The mui, the me and we in everything. Can we look for the mui and also recognize the me and you? And that would be very helpful by itself, wouldn't it? And then could we bring some kind of one, joy in the recognition to ourselves, appreciation for that very willingness in us to do so? I mean, look at that. Look at how many people aren't doing it. And just that you would be in the inquiry or in the openness of that would be amazing, right? And by the way, you'd cause less harm right there, because you'd probably be not doing the habit if you were just in the, I've kind of constructed a guy over here and I'm different than that guy over there, or right? Just that would be like genius, really. And what would you do? Well, you would do less habit, and consequently you would do less harm. Wouldn't you? You just simply would, right there. And that every othering we do, and we do it all day long, by the way, in our own bodies, don't we? It isn't like the others, it's right here. What intolerance, unwillingness to accept the arising nature, right? We can barely tolerate our own thoughts. We can barely tolerate our own bodies. We have a multi-billion-dollar industry. around our in acceptance of ourselves, really. So we're othering, really, I think, interestingly, doesn't start with the neighbor or the partner. It starts right here, doesn't it then? It's with ourselves. We're othering ourselves. If only I were this or that or something else. That color and this thing. And right, we're doing it right here, aren't we? And boy, the work you said, right? The exhaustion, the weariness, the sense of separateness there already. And we didn't even leave the closet yet. We didn't even step outside. We didn't get there. We were already doing it. So I'll make 2 observations I've just made in the last 2 days about this. Yesterday, I had on a pink vest and a pair of bright blue socks with some eyeglasses on them or something, sunglasses, and some these shoes. And my husband said, "You can't go out like that." Like, that is not working. And I actually had already come to, I am so comfortable just like this. And he goes, "Well, aren't you going to a thing? I think you're going to a thing, right? Where there's other people." And I went, yeah, I'm going to the thing. And he goes, yeah, I wouldn't be putting that together. And I was so, nothing he said about me, it didn't distress me even slightly. It didn't distress me that he said it. It didn't distress me that he had opinion about it at all. And it didn't distress me that I was like, I am so just comfortable. I'm going just like this. And someone else said, "Well, you look a little homeless." And I went, so be it. So be it. I don't know. It was not even that interesting. Right? Yeah, but it didn't even, exactly those socks and exactly those shoes and exactly those same pants and exactly that, right? Didn't matter. What? Unconditioned. There was no good or bad or better or worse or the colors or that color or this thing or a little busy. I think I heard. It's a little busy because you got those shoes, but that's a lot. Not going up. Yeah. Okay. Unconditioned. Look at the freedom there. It never occurred to me one more second what anybody thought or felt. It didn't even occur to me. And then we went to this amazing concert and heard these amazing musicians. And I could completely open. Because why? I'd already done it. And then everything else just opening, right? So you know these moments. Don't you know them? Doesn't like opinions just, it's okay, right? It's not even other. It's just, yeah, busy. And then the second unconditioned moment I noticed yesterday was between Carrie and I. And Carrie and I had a teacher. We were jazz bow for a time, way fun. And I want to get back to that in some way at some point. And it was maybe 6 months ago, I think, that Carrie and I, as we were talking about our music and love of music, we both knew something. And we said it to each other. And I said, I don't feel this beautiful, lovely teacher. I don't feel him anymore. I think something has happened. And she said, I do too. And that was unconditioned. And we knew, and in fact, eventually, just yesterday, someone looked it up. And he did die, and he died in April. And his wife died 3 weeks later. And there was nothing even to say, was there? It was just like, yeah, Like the truth of it, the resonance of it was so right. And it was so real. And I was so glad that we knew then the fact, only why? To support that experience, that other knowing, the knowing beyond fact, the knowing beyond condition, the knowing beyond preference. Because my preference would be possibly other. But can't we just hold it then? And we, right? You nod at the truth. And then you celebrate the life and the experiences, right? And we all know that too, don't we? That knowing. Jack Cornfield talks about his wife. This is where it is sometimes said that through the practice, you can cultivate what is, I think, very poorly called psychic experience. Like somehow other, see, it already made that other, right? Rather than just the knowing that we have. She had a brother who was mentally ill, and she was in a drugstore with Jack, and she stopped and said, "My brother is dead." And he went into kind of an assuaging her around that, like, I'm sure that's not the case. And it's just, you're having a bad feeling about your brother. Well, no. And she said, no, my brother is dead. And in fact, that turned out to be true. And I don't think that's special, actually. I don't think so. I think that is a part of what we are all energetically and otherwise capable of. And I think because we can't fact it, we can't glue the part, and then that happens, and then this happens. We tend not to listen, don't we? And then we have, I think, some of the deepest regret that when we don't. Like, I knew, right? When you say that to wait a minute, I knew, and then I didn't even hold it, attend to it, right? And I think that's the unconditioned. Once again, just as a few examples of that. And you would have your own, wouldn't you? You would say, I knew. There's a knowing well beyond fact, well beyond words. It's in the deepened marrow, we could say, as somebody said, deep down, the marrow of our being, which includes all aspects of it. That's that wholeness that I believe the unconditioned offers us. That wholeness, right? And then you go out in bright blue socks with things on them happily, right? Doesn't, because not defined by nor limited by, right? Either one. And that's the nature of the unconditioned as I understand it. And so what do you know? Think about that. Where's the knowing, and what does it take for you? Because it says we are all capable of this and often have to clear obstruction. Clear obstruction is the way it's understood. Not make it happen, not at all, but actually clear obstruction, beginning with what's the number one obstruction? What is it about ourselves? Number one obstruction. Thinking I am not is often the obstruction. I am not capable of this, or I am this, limited form, right? The minute I am something, right? It doesn't mean not also in constellation, but it also doesn't mean only this. So when we say things like, I am good at this, or I am not good at this, I am this feeling, we do it a lot. I am angry, I am happy, I should be happy, I should be compassionate, right? Limits, borders, seams, obstruction, says the teaching. All obstruction. Isn't it? Isn't it always? Think about it. Where has it not been true? Think of a moment where you were I aming or I am notting. Maybe a few exceptions would be I am capable. Right, it has a little larger container, but what about the I'm not capable truth? Right, see, even there we get a little bit into binaries, don't we? A little into, right, I am strong, I am this, I am, right, be careful. And
Like something to that, they're like in this moment.
yes,
this moment.
yes, yes. Really? Or I am feeling capable, which would be a sort of present moment declaration. And there will be a moment where maybe I am not feeling capable. Wouldn't that also be, it's just then, right? Because we know feelings, we tend to work with feelings in a more fleeting way than that I aming. Right? A lot of clients, I am. Right? And then I'm often deconstructing that with things like, me too. You know, that's simply, me too. Me too. I know that. And I know the not of that also. Right? And so that would be another practice, wouldn't it? Is to be watching for the labels, right? We talked about labeling a little bit last week. We could watch for the labels and also open the door to the whole, not just the I am angry, right? But I am also wanting, seeking peace.
So I just wanted to get a little clarification on this because I recently trained in EMDR and using it in with people with profoundly kind of limiting and actually destructive core beliefs.
Yes.
Around like I am bad or
I am the trauma.
Yeah, I am constantly in danger, whatever.
Yes.
So to kind of reorient to a fundamental sense of, I am good or I am safe for that person, like kind of generally speaking, can be like extremely healing.
Antidotal. I would call it, it is the antidote.
Right.
And so we practice the other to open the door to the whole.
Right.
But in the end, we can't rest there either, because I wouldn't want anybody walking out there going, I am safe.
Yeah, sure, exactly. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I just thought of. It's like,
Would you?
I love that.
Antidote,
right.
Not anecdotal, antidotal.
If the scales have been balanced this way, sometimes it's necessary to subconsciously balance them this way so that eventually we can land
here,
and then
that's right. And then in equanimity, right. Then I am safe in this moment and paying attention, wakeful, attentive, present, not primed for the distress, but neither in denial of its potential. This is just as dangerous. So yes, it is appropriate if I'm leaning a little to the left in my meditation practice to practice, right, a little bit in the balancing, working on the other side. We sometimes say ultimately coming to what? No side. Still to no side. But yes, don't we? In the treatment of, in the correction of. Yeah. Right? Makes sense.
Because even creating that antidote is challenging if you're in such a fixed state.
That's right. Absolutely. You can't even see the way to that, which is why we practice it. Then we practice it. So, right, the antidotes are built in to these contemplative traditions in a very strong way. So when I am in ill will, what do? I cultivate the mind of goodwill. And for what? My very ill will. For my very ill will, I cultivate friendliness. Right? It's perfectly correct.
Right.
It's part of these political times.
Yes, it is. Isn't it?
Just recently.
Yes. Don't we?
Mm.
We recognize though, Kelly, and then with understanding, right, to go, I went too far into the attempt to balance by jumping over here, which is what debate is, right, or discourse, certain, right, is this, no, this too. So there is an attempt at balance even there, although often ends up being in separation because we don't take that too, right? We just grab and run over here. So not this is what we do, this. Oops. Right? So can we speak to the truth? You want happiness, you want ease, you want well-being, you want safety also. And I try to make that statement when I can, just to say all of us wanting that. My experience is this as just then mine, right? And we can, that's a little more digestible sometimes.
And taking that pause before just answering that.
So it isn't, right? Otherwise you're just shooting someone who shot you sometimes, or at least you felt like you got shot. I don't even think it's always this.
It's like maybe having an opinion,
Yes,
but don't be the opinion.
that's right. And how do we do that? We hold it lightly, we hold it as experience, and we don't disavow or disregard the other. And remember, because any side is the wrong side, says the Buddha.
I think that's one thing I appreciate. One of the many things I appreciate most about the wisdom traditions is that idea of never holding your beliefs too tightly. That really taught me a lot, humility and just stepping back and
Yes,
even just re-examining your own thoughts and beliefs. Right?
that's right. Examining your own thoughts and beliefs and where you're hanging on. Because you can feel that, like, there is a clench. I think around, no, it's like this. And because there is no static, permanent reality, right? There is no such thing, right? But it's harder to hold, right? Because we have to really get bigger than abortion is good, abortion is bad. Well, this is very limiting on all sides. Is it? No. No, you can think of 20,000 reasons why it's not, and 20,000 reasons why it should be there. And now you're going, I don't know. I'm just going to pick a side. Because we have a harder time there, don't we? All of us. And so we're practicing holding those juxtapositions, those potential oppositions, those and recognizing believed thoughts as conditioned. I think if you could just start there. You have your conditioning, I have mine. And we are both limited by them. And then we have this exchange in which to grow something, don't we all? And yes, I think it is often challenging. I agree.
Your example would be not putting your pronouns out there.
Yeah.
Makes that all. It's labeled.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so I also say, if you're not putting that down, it's not going to be written anywhere.
No, again, now I've limited that. So what if I'm a he, a she, a they, a them, and then all? What do you do with that? And we don't like it. Well, because now I don't know how to form a relationship to you. Well, that's handy. Now you'll have to connect and experience and write that. And I don't have any problem with anybody who does it. because they are trying to make a certain declaration for themselves. So I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. That's not what I said. I said, I'm not going to do it. I don't have any need for the declaration. I understand how someone might.
So to you,
To you, it's irrelevant.
It's not relevant.
right, it's like when you have the, the list of ethnicities, it's the same.
That's right.
only-
That's right.
Wait a minute,
Right.
religion, right?
Religions,
What if
right.
I have your Religious preference listed,
Right.
how's that gonna make me take? There are some ideas about it, but
Yes.
am I gonna take better or worse care because you're
Yes.
of some religion or non-denominational?
Right.
Mhm.
And can be informed if someone has that to be supportive, right? Again, it's not an either or ever. Is it good to know that someone's ecstatic something and that what they would want or need? When I first came to San Diego, I was the director of refugee health. Well, it was a little bit helpful to know the Cambodians, from the Laotians, from the Hmong, from the Chinese, it was because why? They had a completely different set of beliefs and a completely different set of healthcare willingness and acceptance. It was good to know to begin there together. And then we all worked on, can we also open to include, right? Because the Hmong, for example, only used tiger balm for infections. Well, this is not going to work out very well for you. Right. And we were like, okay, starting there, right? How do we help make the largest offering for the possibility we could without going, that's stupid. You're limited. We're smarter, because that wasn't true either, by the way. Right. We don't want to fall into that either, because yes, it is true. Castor oil can be better than antibiotics. There's all kinds of cases. Just as an example, right? Both and. Can we be inclusive? Can we look at where our own limiting beliefs are? I think that's the beauty of it. Can we start there and then be friendly with ourselves so that we can be friendly with others as well? Going, yeah, I understand. And your history might suggest that for you without judgments, right? But I think we have to start with ourselves. I think it's really important to honor our own fear, in particularly political, like, oh my God, we're going to hell if this happens, and all that comes with that. I think we're all doing it. I know this group is committed to inquiring into that. And I know for sure, whatever the integrated truth will be, we can't get there from just going the other. That's not going to work. We are not going to arrive at a peaceful or potentially more unified place by going, if only you would be different, we could be okay. Then I have to commit to being different, don't I? If I'm asking that of you. I do. And I'm willing to do so. And I do not always do it well. Kelly is right. Sometimes like, okay, not that day. And then what? You smile, you go, okay, I got it. Not so skillful, not particularly helpful. Probably not going to do it just like that again either. Right? Okay. We're already at 9:01. Let's sit together for just another moment. Resting in that unconditioned, which doesn't mean, boy, this is a hard idea. Doesn't mean we don't take a stand. Holy cow. I just said, like, right? It doesn't mean we don't take a stand. We might be the antidote. We might be the good medicine in that moment to say, we're going to lean this away for a minute. But look at the skillfulness, the wisdom, the complete compassion we would need in order to do that without just separating from the other, right? How big is that? We might be the antidote. I'm going to bring ease here, even though my skin's crawling. Because I think we could use a little of that too, right? So we're going to rest in that unconditioned nature that then allows us to be whatever is needed, doesn't it? Whatever is then needed for balance, for wholeness, for equanimity, for peace. And sometimes that being is to say, knock it off, enough is enough. And sometimes it's to hold it lovingly. And we are capable of it all. May we rest in that ease. May we rest in that attention. Look at that mindfulness required there. To see the situation as it is and to be its remedy. To be its remedy. Not limited. May we all have happiness and the causes for happiness. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we be grateful, reverent, and joyful at the gift of this precious human life and wish this for all beings. And may we rest and dwell in the unconditioned nature of equanimity. Free from affliction, free from reactivity, free from prejudice and bias, until all beings are awakened and free. May we dedicate this practice today to those who are suffering. Suffering from illness, from loneliness, from hunger, from violence. May we be the remedy. And may this practice contribute. So be it. Thank you all for your practice, for your commitment to the practice, to the teachings, and to the Sangha. Thank you. I think we're going to talk about equanimity next week. Let's talk about the ways to cultivate equanimity in the storm. Right in the, nope, not that. How do we open and include and become that remedy? And it is through the boundless state, the unconditioned state, by the way. Those four Brahma Viharas, by the way, are not just love, for example, not just goodwill. They are the unconditioned version of it. A lot of people don't recognize that. It's the unconditioned version, meaning I will be whatever is needed to facilitate that. So not just our everyday love, but beyond my own conditioning, beyond my own perceptions, beyond my own limits. And we're going to look at equanimity a little bit because it is understood without equanimity, we cannot approach those other three as unconditioned states also. We cannot without equanimity, which you go, uh-oh, that's the one I struggle with. Without that, we cannot then be unconditionally friendly, unconditionally compassionate, or unconditionally joyful for the happiness and well-being of others. All right? Equanimity. All right, everyone, be well. Look at this day talking about preferences. Oh my. Thank you, everyone.
No,
You're
no,
so welcome. Try not to fall into the guacamole bowl. Someone says, if you're watching the Super Bowl. That's pretty cute. That is pretty cute.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. So I got.
That's lovely. Thank you, everyone.